It says, Britt Eklund says Bond girls don't exist due to political correctness, but older Bond movies were more fun. Do you agree? Do you think that they were more fun? You might have a strong opinion on this.
I wouldn't say a strong opinion. I like that the flavor of the franchise changes with everybody. Like, I think that the Timothy B. Dalton one was a little bit similar to the Daniel Craig one.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like a lunatic and very conflicted and wasn't. It wasn't.
Which is different from Roger Moore.
Yeah, which that wasn't a very sexy Bond. It was just like kind of brutal. Still had its like levity, but it was more brutal. And so I liked, like, I started to get over the Brosnan Bond, and I loved Bond growing up. I started to get over it. Maybe it was my age, but when Daniel Craig came in, I was like, this is pretty cool. But then the problem with it was it just became more and more kind of flat. It didn't have the pop that Casino Royale did. So I would, at this point, I'd be happy with seeing it kind of revert back to a more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Because I don't want to say, like, there are some Bond movies that are kind of goofy, over the top, but a little bit more levity, and I'm not saying like become a Marvel movie where everything's equipped, but just a little bit more like that was a rollicking good time rather than like Spectre, which was this dark, dour, depressing, long,
with no pullback, like with nothing to break it up. That was the worst part of it. It's like it just goes on.
Yeah.
It's like my face just went as the whole thing went on because it never let up.
Yeah. It's and like I think they say that like the American James Bond is either Mission Impossible or
Jason Bourne.
Not Jason Bourne. Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Like that was what they wanted to make.
Then it's Mission Impossible, in my opinion.
But Indiana Jones, I would say, is a better comparison, like
character-wise.
Yes, like that energy. No, the movie is like that energy. That's not like Marvel silly, but it has a lot of levity. It has a lot of like heart. It has the same relationship, kind of with between Henry and the women. It's kind of a little messed up. Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, you know, it's not like they act like this is something that they're putting out there and saying this is what everybody should model their relationships after. It's not. It's just something interesting. Yep.
We have a $20 super chat here from Wyatt Derp. Says, what spaces for men and boys are you passionate about keeping women out of, Taylor? Boy Scouts, West Point, or do men just get live combat, deep sea fishing, and firefighting? Asking for a friend.
Well, I focus and talk a lot about the women's sports issue, and people will be like, what about female reporters in men's locker rooms? I never advocated for that. I think men should have single-sex spaces also. Like Boy Scouts, there's been cases with Girl Scouts where certain chapters are asking the girls their pronouns and trying to do like overnight camps that male or, you know, biological boys can stay with biological girls overnight. And I don't think that should happen, you know, regardless each way. Yep. I think there's a reason why men dominate certain jobs, though. Like, you guys are stronger than us, you're bigger than us.
Like deep sea fishing.
Yeah, like there definitely are women who do those jobs, but there's a reason why there's more female hairdressers and nurses, you know? Also,
let it be known that every girl that I know that works, that does hair, they're so happy. They seem so like maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting, but they seem to have very, very, very good lives. Like, they're not overly worried about what the job says about them because they identify heavily with the work, and that's enough. And like, it's not their whole lives. They have families, they have kids, they have husbands, but they love their work, but they don't keep the work. They don't treat the work as something that needs to be elevated to the level of poetry. It's just something that they're good at and go to work to do and passionate about. But it doesn't mean that it's like they haven't tied their identity to it in a way that's combative against their nature. Because they like, do men that become hairdressers then like, I'm the best male hairdresser? Like, I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe it is. I don't know. But all the women I know that work on hair are very, very happy. So I'm gonna get back. So this is what she says about the movie. She says there are no more Bond girls. There are Bond women today. They have it with political correctness. They have it with the political correctness and the Me Too. They have had a much better time than we had. But I don't think the end product is as much fun as ours was. Because we were pretty and we had good bodies and we didn't try to look sexy. We just were. Today, everything is so don't do that because that will upset that side. We didn't have any of that. We just went out there. We were always in a bikini and there were all these people are fully dressed, very typical, but it was a job and we did it. So I think today the Bond women have it far more from a political correctness view. They're in a much better position, but I think we had more fun. So they're like, it does feel like there's a sense of hesitancy to do anything that isn't portraying women in a 100% modest manner now, because loath would you be to like upset the feminists who say that it's not empowering for a woman to dress attractively.
Well, I don't think that they're necessarily about modesty.
No, I think
This might sound
about
a
women
little
acting like
controversial, but yeah, acting like men. But also, I think that some, not all, there's, different types of feminists, but I think some of them find a traditionally beautiful woman offensive.
It's a lot of it. It's also about who the market is and who does the writing and who created the characters, right?
And
so
I feel like more men are going to be watching James Bond.
yes, absolutely. But that's the thing. They don't want men watching it. They want to find the phantom female audience that doesn't exist. They want to, well, this is what they do with all of these things.
Yeah.
They're looking for this magic. Like they took Marvel, which is for guys. They took Star Wars, which is for guys, and they went looking for this magical new demographic of audience members that could be, because that is in a lot of ways a bit of how corporate capitalism works, right? Like you're always looking to grow, but ideologically it might have started out that way, but it ideologically stopped being about growing the audience and started becoming about replacing the audience because the audience wasn't the right demographic. When they write these characters, it's okay to write a strong, independent, beautiful female as long as the audience is for women. If it's for men, you cannot do anything that will please men because that's the male gaze. You're not allowed to show that in a way that men will like because that's heterosexual cis white men who want to see this, and that's bad.
I don't know. I'd rather see a really beautiful woman too.
Well, I mean, they don't realize that. They don't realize that women go to James Bond movies to watch women be rescued by James Bond. Men go to James Bond movies to imagine being James Bond and doing the rescuing, right? Like you don't go, like they have not yet learned that women don't want to go see spy movies about women. They want to go see spy movies where women are orbiting the male spies. I will contend with that. I don't believe that's false. I don't believe the average woman goes and sees a movie like the movie The 355 bombed. Nobody cared because it's Ocean. What was the female
Ocean's
Ocean? That did fine. That made, but that had a lot of big names to it.
So did the other one.
The 355. Yeah. I really do believe that at a time when things were more fun, they knew their audience and they worked to make that audience happy. Now, audiences are problematic. Now, audiences have values that they don't agree with. Therefore, they have to change the product.
So I'm going to disagree with you slightly.
Okay.
I'm going to alter your point to say that women do want to see spy movies about women, but they want them to act like women. Where, like Charlie's Angels.
Okay, Charlie's Angels. Fair enough.
They want that was a success, not the new one. And guess why?
Even then, I bet you the audience for Charlie's Angels was still majority
What
male.
changed in the new one? I
Maybe.
haven't seen the new one.
It's depressing
It's
and
much more
and it hates
like
men.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It has a lot of
The
hatred
first
towards
one
men.
is so fun.
Yeah. It's the opposite of fun.
They're totally different franchises. Like, yeah.
Did you ever
Totally
see the
separate.
original Point Break?
No,
Did you see the original Point
I
Break?
don't believe so.
Like the Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see the remake?
Yes.
It's the anti Point Break.
Wait, is that the movie that they talk about in that other
Yeah.
movie? You
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he loves this movie, and it's so great.
It's
Talking
What
about
is
Hot
it?
Fuzz.
It's Shaun of the Dead, but
It's
police.
Hot Fuzz. It's great.
But the point is that Point Break, the remake, has very little in any way connection to the actual what made.
Is that Catherine Bigelow's the first one? She didn't do the second one.
No, I don't remember. Like the second one is the most generic studio production you've ever seen, but it doesn't have any of the charm that made the original Point Break amazing, right?
Right.
And no Swayze, of course. So,
I've only seen the one scene in Point Break that's in.
Yeah.
And a big part of this is they want to get rid of escapist entertainment. You're not allowed to create something that doesn't have a message, and it's very hard to have a movie with a message if the women are shooting guns in bikinis. So they don't want to do that. They've lost touch with the average everyday person who just wants to get away and see something. And it's not like there weren't strong women in the Brosnan ones that were plenty capable. Natalia in GoldenEye was plenty capable, did her own job. In fact, there was even a point in that movie where I did have a problem with it, where she's like, he asks her if she knows how to use a gun, and she like she removes the magazine, racks the slide. I'm like, they didn't need to show her doing that. Like it wasn't necessary. She saved the day in other ways, right? So that track line, that track for Hollywood was already moving that direction. Then you've got not Ming-Na Wen, who was Michelle Yeoh in Die Another Day, or I'm sorry, in Tomorrow Never Dies, but she plays a spy and everyone thought it was fine.
Yeah. But they used to write to feminine strengths.
Yes.
And they don't do that. That's the only difference. It's not that like there's a bunch of angry dudes who don't like strong women.
Alias is another good example of a show.
Alien is a good. But it always is.
But Alias is a show where she was allowed to be extremely flawed. She was very emotional. She was actually highly emotional outside of work, but was able to turn it off and do her job when she had to do her job. So they don't write in any way that feels authentic to the human experience based on your gender.
The funny part is that they do still do this in movies, but they're always comedies.
Yeah.
Like where there's a successful movie where women act like women are always comedies.
What's a good example?
Bridesmaids.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, like chick flicks.
Yeah, well, or even the action, The Spy Who Dumped Me. Like the women act like women, and the spy is I can't remember his name right now, but they wrote this, but it's a comedy. Night and Day is another one.
I've still never, dude. It's been sitting in my queue because it's on Hulu for ages, and I just haven't watched it. Another Chuck. Sarah in Chuck still has her like, do I like this guy or not moments, which is very real to the human experience. And he's the definition of a panicky male lead. And it works for the character because she's also allowed to be emotional when she needs to be. And you feel the connection there. None of what Hollywood is making right now, if they tried to remake Chuck now, it would be 100 times.
Chuck would never have worked without Adam Baldwin either.
No.
That same, like being the rear of that character that leads Chuck into that space, which is really good.
Chuck is
really good show.
It's a masterpiece. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, like it seems like she's saying like that you win some, you lose some.
Francisco Sanchez Jr., I'm going to go ahead and say you're wrong on that one. He says Alias sucked. It did not suck. I liked Alias. Plus, like that was so long ago. Like that was like, think about that. Like that was like, I remember Gina Torres showed up in like episode 5, and she looks like a kid compared to what they look now. Jennifer Garner, like just great. But I really do think that one of the problems with this is you're not allowed to be you're not allowed to have escapist entertainment anymore. But also, like, there's something to be said about better conditions. They're working in better conditions. Yeah. Hopefully, producers aren't doing casting couch bullshit, stuff like that. But there has to be a middle ground, right? Yeah. Can we find our way back to some type of middle ground? Like, I don't buy that they find it fun. They might find doing the action scenes fun, but I don't buy that that's going to be fulfilling to a large swath of the female audience.
I would agree.
I don't know. Like, is there another example of something recently that you think has done it well?
That has done it well? I think Wonder Woman did it pretty well. The original Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because she was allowed to play the fish out of water scenes, and she was clearly very, very connected and emotional with Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.